Welcome, I'm SimUK. This is Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I just want to share with you what I've learnt about controls. When I first started playing this game, I had loads of problems with controls, and I really didn't feel particularly happy with the way things worked. But I've pressed on, I've pushed through. With help from my community, I have learnt a few things, and off the back of that, I've learnt a few more things. And now, in complete contrast, I feel like this is quite possibly one of the most accomplished controller setup implementations that I have ever seen. So I'm going to go down here to Preset Manager. I'm just going to delete this test, and I'm going to show you. You can either come down to Preset Manager and you can create a new profile. You can copy or duplicate a profile. You can rename a profile. You can clear all the settings within a profile. You can reset all the settings in a profile to the default settings. And of course you can delete profiles, I've just shown you. But you will start out, when you plug your controller in, and I recommend you plug it in before you start the game, you will find that on most occasions, not all occasions, but on most occasions you will have a default system, a default setup with a whole bunch of buttons pre-configured. Now, based on the fact that I've used about 8 or 9 different devices, I can assure you that whoever set up the pre-configured button combos didn't really put much thought into it. Let's say that. Let's be polite enough and say that I think it could have been better. So you will more than likely want to change the default to something else. Now, I'm pretty sure you can't delete the default. Let's just try that. No, you can't. But what you can do, and this is quite cool, I like the way this works. Let's say, for example, we want to bind, let's do brakes. Brakes are always good. So you come up here and you type in the word brake, and it will list everything that is available for brakes. Now, down here you've got a filter. So you have assigned, and basically this is everything that's assigned to the controller that you're currently selected on. It won't show anything else. So if you've already bound a bunch of stuff and you just want to see what you've bound what to, or you want to edit it or whatever, that's how you would do that. But if you're adding new stuff, you probably want to go all, and then you can look, see, and adjust what you want to do. So let's go, that's the parking brake. Now let's do this. Let's toggle anti-skid brakes, and let's click here, search by input, and press that. Button joystick, or joystick button 2. So now if I hit validate, you'll see that it pops up with this new window. And basically this is creating a new profile, because you cannot edit the default profile. Now I already had one of these because I tried to do this a minute ago and ended up babbling my way through it, and I thought, no, that's not good enough. Let's try again. So there we have anti-skid brakes. Now there's a few little quirkiness items with this. You've got the opportunity to expand and collapse all. So if we get rid of the brake search filter and we just go to everything that's assigned, we can collapse it all and we can expand it all. Just a nice expand and collapse all option. Works really well, does what it's supposed to do. What else can we do? I think that's it. I think I've shown you everything else. So you know how to create a profile, you know how to edit a profile. If you come down to the preset manager, you can duplicate the profile, create a new one like this. Test 2. Now we have a test 2, which theoretically has exactly the same keybinds as the one we just created, and you can see there it is. Works really well. So fundamentally this is really flipping excellent. Takes a little while to switch between them. Minimal, really. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes it says, are you sure you want to change? I think if you make changes that you haven't saved and then you switch to a new profile, it will just say, are you sure you want to switch profiles? And if you say yes, then you'll probably lose all of the configuration that you've just been working on, unless you just hit apply and save, and then that's it, it's done. So it really is very, very, very good indeed. I think it could be a little bit better. I think this is like 98% perfection. It really has impressed me. It's just very unique and not very well explained, which is a bit annoying. One thing I would like to see, like when we've got an item up here like this, if I click a button and you see it flashes here, I'd like to see it flash over here just to help me figure out which bloody button is working. So we're in x56 Rhino test. So let's go to brakes, and we can see that we've got our button here configured to brakes. Now what's cool is I can bind this to a multiple different things. So now button 2 and button 3 will toggle the anti-skid brakes. Now you might ask, why the hell would you want to do that? Let me just clear this a second. Damn it, I'm trying to show you a bug. It only happens sometimes, or they've fixed it already, I don't know. If we come across it, I'll show you. So when would you want to do this? Well, let's have a look at throttle. Somebody asked me this question earlier today. So if we come down to throttle axis 1, so this will be the throttle axis for engine 1. So let's boom. So throttle axis will be bound to control all the engines on the planet. So if you've got 1 engine plane, it will control that. If you've got 2 engine plane, it will control that. 3 engine plane, it will control that. 4 engine plane, etc, etc, etc. So you could just bind it here under throttle axis and it will just do that. If you want to bind per engine, then you can do it this way. But you can also, if you wanted to, you could also bind, let me just go, so you could also go throttle axis 2 and bind it to the same thing. It will give you a warning telling you that you've bound it twice. So you can do it either way. And that is just brilliant. It's like they're not trying to tell you how to do it. They are giving you all the options to do it the way you want to do it. So you can do it either way. It's entirely up to you. So if we go to sensitivity and look at the throttle setting here, this whole implementation I think is a little bit weird. Oh, look at that. That was a bit shaky, wasn't it? The whole implementation is a little bit weird. The graphic itself coming down to the middle and then going back up to the top, that in itself I think is a mistake. Time will tell whether this works or not, but I think that's a mistake. Basically what you've got is 100% maximum, then you've got the middle, and then you've got 100% minus. Now technically I suppose that is how an axis works. You have a central point, you have plus, you have minus. So technically I can see why they've done that, but it doesn't lend itself very well to flight simulation, I don't think. So if, for example, we increase the sensitivity, say 50%, you see it puts a nice curve. Hello, where's the curve? Thank you. There we go, that was weird. Some quirky little issues. I haven't seen that one before, that one's new. So what this does basically is adjust the sensitivity at one end of the scale. It doesn't adjust the sensitivity for the whole stick, just one part of the stick. So it's not so easy to tell when it's on 50%, but if I put it on 100%, I can explain this to you more. So obviously you would never want it like this because it's just crazy. But watch the little dot, okay? And watch the white line at the same time. As I push forward, you can see I've moved probably about 30%, 40% of the actual movement of this throttle here. And yet the white bar has moved, well, hardly anything at all. There we go, one little jot. So I'm almost at 50% already. And you can see the dot is very near the curvature, the middle point. Now what happens here is, effectively, once it gets to there, it's just going to drop off. It's very much like a ball rolling down a hill. It'll be slow here and then boom, all of a sudden. So what you'll find is that when I get to pretty much on 50%, we shall jump from here to over here somewhere. Boom. See how quickly that happened? Now these are minute movements and they're making massive difference. And then all the way down. So what you've got here is really highly sensitive top end, really highly sensitive bottom end. I mean, like really precise bottom end. And then the middle is, there is no middle. The middle is just that. You go from 90% to 10% in that movement. It's minuscule movement. So in complete contrast, you'll understand already what's going to happen here. So if we put the sensitivity at -100, then the top end and the bottom end are ridiculously sensitive. I mean, look how little I'm moving that. Okay. So all the sensitivity will now be in the middle. So the middle will have incredibly high sensitivity, unbelievable levels of sensitivity until we get to about 95%, and then all of a sudden, boom, 0. So, I mean, obviously you'd never go extremes. You would never go 100% one way or the other. But what you're effectively doing is you're saying the sensitivity here makes either the middle very sensitive, very precise, or the extremities very precise. But you can't have both. I suppose having it 50% in the middle is like having both. But what you're controlling here is sensitivity. God, I've forgotten already. Sensitivity in the ends. So if you want 100% and 0% to be very sensitive, then you'd go plus 100%. If you want very quick top and bottom end but very smooth in the middle, then you would go minus %. Now what I've discovered, having set up so many different controllers, is that they're all different. The input that works for this one does not work for this one. And you're just going to have to play about with it and understand that you're going to lose sensitivity either at the top end or in the middle. And it's up to you which you want to prioritize. Okay, guys. So the dead zone, for me, correct me if I'm wrong, I'll explain to you how I understand this. The dead zone starts in the middle. Now, for me, I think the dead zone would be useful for some people at sort of 0 to 3% of their throttle, because maybe there's a reason why they can't get it down to exactly 0, or when it's at 0 it kind of shakes a little bit like that. So you want to put a little bit of a dead zone in there so that that isn't being sent to the sim. Same applies at the top end. Maybe you can't quite get it 100%, so you want to just put a dead zone at the end. It doesn't really work like that in here. It works in the middle. So let's say I want to put 5% dead zone on this. Now watch the white bar here represents the movement that I'm making. So this white bar has got 0 dead zone. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 until I get to the middle. And then I have a bit of a dead zone. Do you see that? So on a yoke controller-y type thing, that probably does make sense. Hey, I wonder if you can swap it. Let's have a look. No. So that one theoretically could work if you're trying to put a dead zone in the middle, like your joystick pings back to there, but it's sort of still sending a signal to the sim saying that you're slightly forwards like this. But you don't want to be slightly forwards, you want to be absolutely centralized. Well, I suppose that using that technique could give you that result. But it's no good for anything like a throttle. If I stretch it all the way up here to say 90%, then we have a dead zone in the middle, which basically wipes out 90% of your joystick. So you've got 5% at the top end. Watch the white bar. 5% at the top end. You can see how quickly it jumps because we've only got that much joystick to work with. And then there's this enormous dead zone in the middle. So that's how the dead zone works. What would be really cool, Asobo, if you're watching this and you want a good idea, then this is my good idea. We have 2 dots. So we have a blue bar with a dot at one end and a dot at the other end. And we can adjust it so that we drag the dot on the left in a little bit, and that gives us a dead zone this end. And we can adjust the top end in a little bit, and that gives us a dead zone at the top end. I think that would be perfect, but that's not how they've done it. They've put it in the middle. If you want dead zones on your throttle, you want it at the top and the bottom, certainly not in the middle. The middle's where all the work is. That's where the meat is. That's the bit you want as sensitive as possible. So I don't think it works that way. Ideally, I guess, keep keep this implementation but have another dead zone, so like a central dead zone and an extremities dead zone, I think that would fix it. That would tick all the boxes in the world. I think that would accommodate everybody. Bear in mind, I think this is 98% perfect. So the issues I'm highlighting are just, you know, issues that I see, but this really is very, very good. Let's see if I can do this. We go to mode 2, and I'm going to try and use button 6 and button 8 at the same time. Ready? Wow. There you go. It's just gone up in my estimations. This is now 99% perfection. I now have bound a dual button. How flipping incredible is that? It really is incredibly versatile. It's quirky. It's got a few issues in it, but ultimately, I actually now think this is better than X-Plane's implementation. The only thing it's lacking is when I press a key, I'd like something over here to tell me which one it is. You know, which number it is rather than anything else. That's the only thing that's lacking. So I can have, watch this, watch this. Let's do flaps 2 and flaps 3. Okay, so we'll go 6, 8, 6 and 8. Isn't that incredible? It just, I wonder if you can do 3. Should we? Now I'm off the, now I'm off script. Now I'm just making stuff up. Bloody hell, you can do 3. That's incredible. Isn't that insane? You could just bind, oh my word. That is so impressive. That is so impressive. I am absolutely blown away by that. Button 8, button 6, triple button. Oh! Suits you, sir. Suits you, sir. That is impressive. That really is very clever. I didn't even know I could do that until literally until I accidentally did it then, and now I know just how versatile this is. I know a lot of people are still having problems and they can't set up their controllers, and they've got issues here and they've got issues there, and there's all kinds of weird stuff going on and so on. But the system itself is incredible. It is so versatile, and hopefully I've shown that today. But it's also very quirky. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they work properly. Clear, validate. Damn it, got rid of it. Clear, validate. Oh, they're all going now. I have shown in other videos that that doesn't work, but hey, whatever. It's fixed. Fixed is good. I should be happy that it's fixed. Yes, change profile. So now in the test, I'm going to get rid of my test. That's it. So you would basically have the option of creating incredibly complex keybind configuration options for a variety of different aircraft. The A320, you could, I mean, quite literally, you could press one button and have it bound to do 25 different things, or you could have 3 buttons bound to do 25 different things. So you could individually go, you know, engine 1 on, engine 2 on, engine 3 on, engine 4 on, or you could just press all 3 together and start all 4 engines at the same time. I mean, I don't know why you would want to do that, but it's really cool that you have the versatility to do that. I really think this is incredible. I really am blown away. I didn't know you could do triple binding. I bet you I could do more. I really think there's no limit to it. It's such a cool device. The only thing I don't think you could do is bind 2 different controllers at the same time. That I think would fall over. Should we just try that real quick? I don't even know what I'm binding right now. That and that together. Yeah, it doesn't like it. As soon as it registered that I pressed a button that's not on the Cytec ProFlight X56 Rhino throttle, it went, nope, you can't do that. Which is fine, because that would get incredibly messy and complicated. But it's so versatile, isn't it? I'm mega impressed with this now. I'm a complete convert. Hands up. I hated this at the beginning. Now I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. There you go. There's an admission, and I don't mind making it because, my God, this thing is good. I've prattled on far too long. Guys, anything you can add, any suggestions you can add, anything else you can add, please let me know, because at the moment, I mean, This game really annoyed me for the first 3 days, and now it's just impressing me 1 minute after another. And it's incredible, and I love it. I'm starting to love this game, guys. I am starting to love this game. Listen, I've got a couple of videos coming out. I've got a VFR test to see whether you really can fly via VFR. And I also did a little tour of the Amazon rainforest and did some water landings. So, or attempted some water landings. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I hope this is helpful to you. Please do like, share, subscribe, do all that kind of cool stuff. But most importantly, let people know and experiment with this, because this is fantastic. So impressed. Thanks for watching. Take care. Goodbye for now. Yes. What is that already bound to then? I wonder. Let's clear that. Let's search by input. Let's make that maneuver. And nothing shows up. Okay, so little bit quirky. So you can't search for the axis directly. So if for example, I click here and go like this, it will show nothing at all, because what that's reading is the minus, the negative implementation of that axis, not the full axis. So if we come down here to select an input and you select just the Y axis itself, not the minus or the plus axis, but just the axis itself, you can see that we have that there. So I've shown you how to do this. This is how you search, brakes. This is how you filter. This will show you everything that has the word brake in it. Now this will show you the essential things that you're pretty much going to need on every aircraft you fly. And this one shows you what you have already got assigned to your controller that's selected. So if you click on them, for some reason, I don't know why now, it is quirky. It's still got some issues that need ironing out. When I click on this, this should go white to indicate that I am pressing the button. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't work. So if I just go select by input and press on that button, but that is not, for some reason, and I'm not sure I've seen that before, that is now not going white. Normally the background goes white when I press the button so that you can see that it's working. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. It is quirky. It's got some little bugs in it. There's another bug where, let's say, you want to delete something. Let's do this. Joystick button 31. I've no idea which button 31 is. Let's have a look over here. 31 is this. Oh, this. Increase and decrease flaps. Okay. So let's clear that input and validate. So it's actually gone this time. More's the pity. Sometimes you have to delete stuff twice. It's a quirky issue. It's not a big issue. Now, if I do this, flaps. So we've got increase flaps and decrease flaps. We've also got extend flaps and retract flaps. And essentially, they're the same thing, just worded differently. Now, I think what you're going to find is that some aircraft will respond to both of these inputs. Some aircraft will only respond to one of these inputs. So what you could do is double bind stuff. So increase flaps and extend flaps could be the same. And you'll get this message, this is already used somewhere else. Are you sure you want to bind it anyway? Just say validate. Of course, the potential issue there is that you move it once. Oh, look, there you go. Do you see how the background's going white? That's what's supposed to happen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Weird. So yeah, I mean, there is a potential that will fire twice, because you are effectively sending the signal twice. So I don't know if they've put any sort of software block in there to say that these are essentially the same thing, but whatever. And also, what's weird is I'm not getting this earlier when I did this and put the flaps onto this button here. I found that it gave me a message saying this isn't the ideal thing for this job. And the reason for that is because flaps have a maximum and minimum extension level, whereas this is a roller. It will just keep going and going and going and going and going. So I think that's why they say that, but it didn't say it this time. So again, quirky, little bit weird. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. One thing I would like to see, like when we've got an item up here like this, if I click a button and you see it flashes here, I'd like to see it flash over here, just to help me figure out which bloody button is working. One other bug. This is one I have to show you. These are the kind of quirkiness that you're going to have to expect. So let's say flaps 1, and let's put an input in here. You see this switch button here? It's the first one in the switch buttons. I'm going to push it up, which is button number 6. And yeah, we don't care that it's already bound somewhere else. That's fine. So, oh, well, that's interesting. So now, wow, that was like stuck permanently on. Okay, so button 6 is working, and you can see when I press the button, it flashes. But on the X56, we have different modes. Mode 1, Mode 2, and S1, which is effectively Mode 3. If I switch to Mode 1, you'll see that button no longer fires. And it's not because we're on Mode 1, per se. It's not like it changes the input of the button or something like that, effectively. It's because if I try and bind a button here to the same thing when we're on Mode 1, it says you are trying to assign an action to a device that is not selected. It doesn't recognize that button as being part of this controller when I'm in Mode 1. All the other buttons work, so if I go even the same switch but down, which is button 7, it sees it. Now if I switch to Mode 2 and press button 7, you can see it's still button 7. It hasn't changed anything, but now in Mode 2, button 6 works. Button 6, switch to Mode 1, button 6 no longer works. So these are the kind of quirky little systems and situations that you're going to find, and it's different for every device. It doesn't, I haven't discovered any of the other buttons that do this, by the way. It's only this one. It's only this one, so far as I know. You know, I could do a test. Let's just run through here. Yeah, button 12 is fine. Button 13 is fine. Fine. Oh, fine. They all work, which is good.